Let's do this professionally, though.
Now Pedersen to blast all that hit. Diving save. Hart as he flashes across. Briere sends up Carl. Side of the net. Deflected. Score! Briere moving in. Stops. Cuts to the middle. Still has it. Shot! Score! Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, save by Maher. He's an angle. Short-handed mid. He scores! Up top, cruising is Provorov. He scores! Ivan Provorov!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fired Up Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia, along with my partner, Chris Maher. We are live streaming always on the Painted Lines on YouTube, TTP Sports, and Flyers Fan Mania 93 for people who are not able to tune into the live stream. It's always going to be up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts at. So before we get into our little discussion here about the Flyers, because it's been a little bit of a frustrating time, we're going to sit here for a couple seconds, do a quick breathing exercise, just so we don't completely lose it. We're going to do this professionally as possible. So we go 1, 2, 3. Okay, everyone, are we better? Okay, I hope we are, because there's a lot of things to talk about with the Flyers right now. So, lost 3 out of the last 4 games. They lost 2 in a row to the Boston Bruins, got 1 point out of a possible 4. And both of those games had a lot of troublesome moments. So, game 1 on Thursday, you had a 2-0 lead. You blew that. 3-2 lead, you blew that. Boston came out of nowhere and scored 4 goals in the third period. You had all of these chances in the overtime to win the game. Tuukka Rask stood on his head. And then the shootout is the shootout. And then game 2 on Saturday. Let's not talk about it, because it just it wasn't fun. It just overly wasn't fun. Just so many mental mistakes. The Flyers just look completely dead the entire time. And right now it's not fun. It's very frustrating, and there's so many things to look into with this Flyers team right now. And this is where mine and Chris's thoughts come in with just how the team has been playing so far. So before we get into my thoughts, Chris, I want to get your thoughts right now. What are the concerns you want to express right now? Because I know you're still in the thought process that there's no room to panic right now, but it's still frustrating at the same time. So what are your thoughts and concerns?
I mean, I really don't have a dire, mad example, I guess, if that even makes sense. I'm not concerned. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm concerned, but I'm not pissed off or anything. I understand the things that are happening, to be honest. I mean, you didn't have a training camp, you didn't have a preseason, Well, you kind of had a training camp, but obviously you get my point.
Not a proper training camp.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, a normal camp. I feel like for the most part, it's all self-inflicted wounds. It's turnovers, it's puck watching, it's not getting the puck out quick enough. It's still, for some odd reason, stick handling behind your net. I still don't understand why they do that. Player reads off the forecheck. A bunch of stuff. Hart hasn't necessarily looked, like himself, which, again, I'm not going to sit here and blame him, because, again, there's, he's frustrated. You see him slamming his stick the other night when you lose 2 of your first 6 games 6-1, and you're getting peppered every night. I mean, that was the least amount of shots, and they still got outshot 26-17. I think at this point, it shows how much they need Couturier. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, because of the injuries. No, there's no reason why, if you have Coots, you should not still be winning. I mean, you have unbelievable depth even without Couturier. And honestly, Saturday's game makes Thursday's game look even worse, because you blew 2 third period leads, gave up 4 goals in that period, and you only got 1 point. And when you had, 4 chances in overtime to win it? So it's definitely, salt to the wound, because it's they should have won Thursday. If they had won Thursday, I wouldn't have been as mad. But again, I'm fine with them losing. If you lose, okay. But every game they have lost, they have given the worst possible effort It seems like at times they just can't. Honestly, I shouldn't say that because Thursday's game they gave a pretty good effort, but the other two games they lost, the two regulation losses, no, there was just no effort in either of those games. The 6-1 game versus Buffalo at home, 6-1 game on Saturday. So I look at it like this. It looks like there's going to be a switch of the lineup, right? I don't know if they'll switch up the lines for the offense. I think defense, you have to. I think some guys have looked really bad. I think Gustafson has easily been the worst defenseman, and I hate picking on him because it's like, oh, it's like the easiest thing to pick on, I guess, because it's like, oh, everybody looked at him as the guy because it's like he's looked at as the guy that was brought in because they lost Niskanen, and that's not what it was. It's like, oh, they lose Niskanen and they sign Gustafson. Well, is he gonna? You know what I mean? Like people will look at that like, oh, because of Niskanen. So I look at it like this: like they need to come into these next two, and it's really all they can do. Is come into these next two games and get 2 wins. If they win 3 of the next 4 games to end this month, I'll be happy. Because if you think about it from last year, right, it's very similar to last year in the first month of October last year. Ended the month 5-5-1, right? And they ended the month, took them a while to get into a game, right? And we kind of saw this last year at times. Then they followed it up with a great second period. Were one of the best second period teams in the league. I think they were at one point. And they would end up closing it out in the third. And I know earlier when I saw you sent me that tweet the other day, and it was like the whole thing with the chain forecheck. Oh my God, that must have took hours to put together. But that is like, and it's things that I've kind of picked up too. Like I'm like it's weird when they forecheck because it looks different, and I couldn't figure it out, and that kind of gave the thought in my head. I'm like, what is with this team? Because they can't get the zone pressure that they did last year, and I don't know if it's because. It seems like it's been more of player reads is what people have been saying. I know Bill Meltzer said it that it's more like player reads, and him and Charlie O'Connor are essentially at every home practice, and the coaching staff hasn't really changed anything from that. And I trust Bill with that. I mean, Bill's unbelievable. So, you know what I mean? So like, I look at it like this, like if they can't get the offensive pressure, then I don't know what they're going to do. The power play looked atrocious on Saturday. I mean, yeah, you can give Boston credit for the way they forechecked and the way they got into the zone and things like that, but the Flyers didn't help themselves. I mean, they played 45, maybe 50 seconds of it in their own zone, having to get the perfect pass either Patrick, Giroux, Provorov, whoever, to take it out. I mean, and the puck battles. I mean, obviously you saw the title on my video, all capitals puck battles, because they lost probably 80% of them. Maybe even not. I mean, obviously you can't lose 100%, but I mean, oh my God, they lost so many puck battles, and it's one of the reasons why they lost that game. I feel like at times they're not physical enough. There's times where guys puck watch. There's times where there's a lot of just standing there looking around, not really moving your feet. Other guys give a lot of effort. Some guys you don't necessarily see it that much. Again, I don't blame really any of this on Hart. People might say his reaction time looks slow and things like that. This guy's getting peppered every night. Every night he's getting peppered. There's nothing he can do when there's a scramble in front and you're outmanned every time. I don't blame Hart for that. I mean, what do you expect him to do on the okay? And someone said this to me the other day about Marchand's power play goal because he was so like off angle. Marchand was wide open. He was wide open. You do not give a wide open look to that kind of power play for Boston. You just don't. And I'm like, and I just love how like after 6 games, we're like, oh, we should like look for trades or do this or do that. I'm like, it's 6 games in the season. Let's settle down here. You know what I mean? They are missing a top 4 defenseman and their number 1 center. If anybody expected them to come into these games and get blowout wins, you're nuts because that just wasn't happening. Very early in the season, you're easily in the hardest division. We talked about that many times. Listen, there's no reason for them to be losing like that, but there's, I personally think that it's a lot of self-inflicted stuff. And as they get more into the season and, ready for games and things like that, I think they'll be able to ease it out. And I think the 2 days in between the games from Saturday going to Tuesday, where they're off on Sunday, practice this morning, and then go into tomorrow night against New Jersey on the road, I think that helps too, the extra time off. I know Elliot kind of talked about that today too. So I think for the most part, just go into these next 4 games. You got New Jersey and the Islanders, right? And it's a 4-game stint. Win 3 of the 4. That's what I would like. 3 of the 4. I don't see any reason why they can't win both games against the Devils. I don't. I think if you lose 2 games like that, it should, really make you mad to where you should go into these 2 and get really pick up some points. I'm kind of going along here. I apologize. But again, like, and I know you said rant, so I'm like, all right. But again, I think they just kind of have to go into these next 2 games, get the feel of it. And I think going into the end of this month and going into February, they're going to really start to get into games more.
I mean, right there, I hope you're right with that statement. It's just because, I understand, like, going off for that long. It's a rant. That's what we titled, like, part of the show. There's rants to be involved because these past few games have been incredibly frustrating. And like what you said, Chris, it felt like there's just so many self-inflicted wounds. It just feels like the entire team right now, like everything that can possibly go wrong, it's going wrong.
Yeah.
And with the fact that, Carter Hart, like when you have to think about it last year, the Flyers were one of the best teams in terms of allowed shots per game. They were one of the best. They allowed so little shots per game. Now you're coming into this year, it feels like it's a complete 180. Yeah. You're seeing 30-plus shots, 30-plus shots, 40-plus shots, even sometimes both back-to-back against Boston and Buffalo. Mm-hmm. There were 2 40-plus shot nights. So it's going to be understandable to where your goaltender is frustrated, and then also where he's allowing goals that, he would definitely want back.
Right.
But it's understandable to where he gets so pissed. I feel bad that he had to apologize for it because it's understandable why he would be so pissed to where he's like completely banging his stick on the post, and then he has to throw it across the ice. It's literally just showing your team, hey, help me, help me, basically.
And it's funny, like they haven't played a good game overall.
No,
and they've won 3 of the 6. They won 3 of the 6. They could have won 4. You know what I mean? So that kind of shows how they're a good team, because they haven't played good and they still find ways to win games. But that doesn't mean you want to keep winning like this.
No.
So, again, I think it'll take some time for them to kind of, as I said, get into the game. But this is very similar to the start last year. And I'm not worried. I don't think there's a reason to be worried. Am I pissed? Yeah, I'm pissed. I don't think there's, I didn't want this. And I don't think anybody did in a shortened season. And I think that might be one of the reasons why everybody's kind of, all chaotic and flipping out because there's less games now. But still, it's very early in the season. You're still in the first month. And you still have 4 games here at the end of this month to kind of wake up a little bit.
And just going off of that, like, I guess to get into my thoughts and concerns on the team at this moment. Yeah, losing Couturier, losing Myers, it sucks. It really does. And it definitely shows how much this team misses a guy like Sean Couturier. Selke winner, and he's one of the best 2-way centers in the National Hockey League. But just the way they have played overall, you have 12 other forwards, and we've talked so many times about how good the depth on this team is. Yeah. Losing Sean Couturier, and like I know we've talked about this too, Chris, is that it shouldn't mean that your entire forward core should look that terrible defensively.
No.
It just shouldn't.
It shouldn't. I feel like a lot of times it seems like there's some guys on defense that could help out more.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the whole defense has been terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I like Provorov with Sanheim, and I don't mind like somebody messaged me after the game. They're like, I don't know about Provorov playing 30 minutes. I'm like, that game went to overtime. And if anything, he's playing 28, 29. It's no different from when he came into the league. He was playing 20, 22. He's going up a couple minutes each year. I don't mind Provorov playing 30 minutes. And when you're down, again, as I said, a top 4 defenseman that could even be his partner, which most likely will at some point this season and continue to be, then, yeah, he's going to play more minutes. But, and again, I hate picking on Gus like this, but, he's just been bad.
Mm-hmm.
He's been bad. And listen, he's essentially a liability on defense. And I hate saying it 6 games in, but, it's not. I'm not trying. I don't want to sugarcoat it because he's been bad. I haven't mind Braun. There's times when he could be better, but I feel like a lot of the time his back is turned completely. I mean, I watched their Thursday night the Richie goal that tied the game on the power play. If you go back and you watch the overhead camera angle of the replay, you literally see Braun just skate forward when there was no reason to attack him, no reason to go for it.
And it feels like
get the free puck.
And it feels like there's just so many times where we get caught either puck watching or we try to get way too aggressive with the man on the puck, especially going back to that Richie goal. Krejci was on the boards. It looked like Braun was trying to go after him. If Braun stays in his spot, Krejci has nowhere to pass that puck to.
Yeah.
Braun pushing forward gives Krejci that little bit of space and that little bit of timing to get it over to Richie, which allows him to bury it. Sadly, Hart, he got a piece of it, but what do you expect Carter Hart to do with that?
There's nothing Hart could do on that.
No.
Again, and I think there's been many times where the guy's just been back turned. I mean, I watched the other night. I recorded a clip off of Face Off, and I sent this to you, and it was the Voracek line out there. Tie up on the face off. Defenseman goes low, right? Provorov playing his normal spot on the back of the draw. Well, Sanheim lines up on the the side where the winger would, where the defenseman kind of doubles up there and the winger's there. Well, Provorov in his normal spot, Marchand goes straight to the net. Well, Voracek's fighting with the Brusque, right? Or Sanheim was fighting with the Brusque when that was supposed to be Voracek's spot. Well, why do you think Marchand's wide open? Because Sanheim goes to the guy he's not supposed to. I mean, it didn't generate a goal, or they didn't even get a shot on net. Well, I think they did. It was later in the play, though. But that play specifically, I can't even speak, that play didn't generate into a shot, but that's my point. You're leaving guys wide open. You're forgetting how to do things. It's like it's self-inflicted wounds. It's simple hockey. As I said, they did better in the face-off circle. I think they ended up winning more face-offs, and they did nothing with the puck when they won the face-off. It was like either a turnover, missed pass, like the play will just fizzle out. Like whatever it is, they're not shooting enough either. That's one thing I'll say is that at times they look a little too cute. They pass up a lot of shots, especially early in the game. Last two games, both games against Boston, 4 shots in the first period in each. 4. I think they had a power play in the first period in both.
Yes, they did.
Like, well, not Saturday night, but still. Because they didn't get that. And the refs were kind of bad that game. And again, that's nothing. But there was a lot of missed calls, I feel like, for Saturday. And that's not an excuse at all. I'm just saying. I don't know. I mean, I feel like for the most part, if they want to tighten this up, they need to play more north-south. They're playing way too much east-west. Way too much. And AV hinted at that. I said that in the middle of the third period. I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at my dad. I'm like, they play so east-west hockey. It's like, I don't understand. Because you have all this room in the neutral zone. You have guys that can fly. I mean, TK, Patrick, Lindblom. They're all pretty good skaters. TK's fast. Patrick can move when he can fly when he's got the puck. And Lindblom's a good skater too. And they're all like passing at each other, like quick passes and everything. I'm like, just get into the zone. Go get over the blue line. And it's the same thing with the power play because they do that too. They wait way too long. They try to get the pass at the blue line. Oh, somebody goes offside. It's like, it's either if you're going to do it, then do it. If you're going to dump the puck, somebody's got to go get it. If you're going to dump the puck, you can't do a 1-2-2 offense. It's a turnover every time. You can't do that. And if you're going to do it, make sure you get in there and get physical on them because it's not going to help. All Boston did was swing it around the net and go out the other way. The whole game.
And one thing
there wasn't a shift on how they forechecked. Nothing. Nothing.
And it
was just like, oh, let's just keep hurting ourselves.
Yeah, the one thing that's really like what I see with the Flyers right now, and there's a lot of similarities to even going back to the bubble playoffs, is like especially the shots on goal. It feels like the Flyers, they're trying to play a little too simple. They're trying to make the safe play more than try to go for that risky type of play. Because last year the Flyers were a really risky team. And when you take some risks, you're going to get rewarded for some of those chances. They did that a lot last year.
Right.
And it feels like the defense right now, you know how active our defense was last year. They wanted to get up into the play. They wanted to move the puck with the forwards. This year, they look completely, they don't want to do that at all.
Some guys do. Like Provorov and Sanheim do. I'll say that.
Yeah, Provorov and Sanheim definitely do.
Many times I've seen Sanheim join the rush, but the play fizzles out.
Yes.
Like it's not like they don't generate a chance off of it. I mean, obviously Sanheim joined the rush the other night on Thursday, puck deflects off a skate and goes in. You know, it's a lucky bounce. Yeah. But like, I think the most deflating thing in Saturday night's game was you get the goal to start the period, and it was your only shot on goal for the first, I think, like 10, 12 minutes, and you scored.
At least. Mm-hmm.
They scored a minute 10 later. And it was a weird goal, like crazy bounce, and Smith just potted. I didn't even know where the puck was, and then I saw it go in.
It was, looking back at that goal, too, I think it was Charlie Coyle that was coming up the right side. Provorov was trying to push him away from the play, but still somehow, some way, Coyle got the pass off, and it got Carter Hall off of his angle, and it just allowed for an easy bury.
And then Provorov and Sanheim, they were playing way too close to each other.
Yes.
If you go back and watch it, they're like right here, like next to each other. It looked like they were hip to hip playing that. And it's like, guys, spread out. And then, like, because Sanheim, it was Hayes. Hayes had to come back. Well, he missed Smith because Sanheim, I would love for Sanheim to use his body more. He is what, 6'5", 6'3", something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Use your body. You're huge. He always tries to go for the stick. I'm like, use your body. That's why Smith scored. Because you missed your guy coming in. You played too tight. And then you just reach. That's one thing that's annoying too, is they reach all the time. And what I mean by that is, like, you take the extra step, because for me playing hockey and stuff, one thing our team always did, we would reach, nobody would take the extra step, and it always hurt us. But like, that's my point, is like, it's going to kill you, because when you do that, they got the extra step, they're already coming in for a shot, and you're still trying to get that first step off when they're already, almost ready to shoot. It's like, it doesn't help you when you're reaching the whole time and you're kind of just standing there watching the play happen without moving. You got to move your feet. You got to get in there. You got to get physical. The puck battles is a huge thing. I'd be surprised to see how many puck battles they win tomorrow night compared to Saturday, because I would not be surprised if they dominate in that area, because one thing they said going into the 2 games against Boston, get pucks deep, win puck battles. Didn't do that. Mm-hmm. They did on Thursday. Saturday, not so much. And again, as I said, like, this game Saturday makes Thursday's game worse, because that's like a gimme game. You had two leads. You had 4-5 chances in overtime. You even had the shootout to try to score. Game shouldn't even went to the shootout, but still. So the whole trip gives you a bad taste in your mouth. Obviously, the players know it too. So I think for the most part, it's all they can do. I said this is just go into New Jersey and get 2 wins. That's all you got to do. The Devils are playing good, but they're not a great team. We know that. The Flyers are obviously better. And I wouldn't be surprised if the team rebounds. And
one thing before I bring up the Devils in a little bit, speaking of the shootouts, the one thing that really bothers me is the shootout itself. Elaine Vigneault expressed it perfectly, that it's a skills competition. But is it just me, or does it look like most of the time our shooters just don't even try? Half of the time.
I don't know. Who knows? I think it's just, I mean, we're not going to know. We're not going down in front of Rask. You know what I mean? Or Halak, sorry. Like,
no, it was Rask at that time.
Or it was Rask, sorry, yeah. I mean, like, who knows? I have no idea. I mean, a lot of them have like kind of the same moves. I think it just depends on. I think it's just the luck of the draw. I mean, it's 50-50 before they even touch the puck. They're going to score, they're going to make a save. You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, they've been terrible in shootouts since it was even put into the league.
They're the worst team in shootouts.
Yeah, record-wise, right?
Yeah, record-wise, they're the worst team.
Yeah. It feels like when they win, it feels like you hear like angels come around your head when you see them win in the shootout. It's a miracle, it feels like. But again, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say they don't try, because again, I can't see NHL athletes not trying. I just don't see that.
And just like going like to some of their, like what you said, like they're a lot of similar players, and then when it just feels like they come down the ice, it's either they don't use enough speed, they try to do the same plays a little bit way too much, like Claude Giroux. You know how last year when he was trying to use that fake slap shot and then try to deke out the goaltender, he tried to do that once again. I feel like when you try to do that little one too many times, the goaltender's going to expect it.
Yeah.
So it's an easy save right there. But I feel like some of our guys that are fast, they don't use their speed in the shootout. They don't try to get their goalie moving. They try to come in a little slowly, try to do these like one too many stick handles, and all the goaltender has to do is stand still. That's basically all they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, really, we could sit here and nitpick everything from the shootout, but like, I don't even really care about it, to be honest, because again, they should have won in overtime. Rask was phenomenal in that. Voracek should have scored.
Should have
Walton
scored.
hit a crossbar.
Hayes should have scored.
Robbed. Like,
and honestly,
Sandholm had that chance in front of the net.
And honestly, going back to that Hayes play too, I feel like because it looked like on that replay that he maybe tried to control the puck a little bit on his stick and just like maybe had a little off second from taking the shot, and that's what allowed Rask to get over there. It was still a incredible save regardless, but maybe if Hayes didn't like worry about settling the puck and he just took the shot right off the pass, maybe that puck would have gone in. Who knows? But it's just like, like Rask was on his head, unbelievable during that overtime, and yes, we should have won that game. Yeah. But just the way it's still one thing that concerns me right now is it's going to be the defense moving on right here, and right now I'm not concerned about the offense. I know this team can score, but it's like what you were talking about too. They try to do these maybe one too many cute plays. They try to rely on the simplistic stuff, maybe trying to make the extra pass rather than trying to just get the puck onto the net. And it feels like they're doing that way too much, because you saw some instances during Boston where they obliged to take that pass instead of take the shot. Raffle did it a couple of times. Farabee did it a couple of times. It's just that this team has to get out of that habit of making the extra pass, because I feel like they're trying to do that way too many times. That's why maybe you're also seeing not as many shots being taken for 100%. This team.
I think that's the biggest thing, is they pass up way too many shots. Like the power play. How do I explain this? Like it seems like when they get into the rhythm of getting it around, like just throwing it around the horn, like just getting chance after chance, they shoot. But every other time, it seems like they take way too long. I feel like it's more of an issue just them getting into the zone. And this is 5-on-5, not even power play. Like just them getting into the zone seems like more of an issue at times now from what I've seen. And again, like I don't necessarily think they've played like bad, like where it's like, oh my God, like in some of the games, like the two games are thrown out of the window, or the Buffalo game and Saturday night, they're just bad. If in the other four, they won 3 of them. They didn't. I think the best game was probably the second game versus Buffalo they played all year so far. I think that's going to change going into New Jersey. I don't see this team continuing this into New Jersey and the Islanders, especially when you play the Islanders at home. I just don't see that. I honestly think there's going to be bad blood too going into the Islanders, because you just lost to them last year in the playoffs. And again, a series where you didn't play good and you still took them to 7 games. I think that's one thing we kind of underestimate with this team, is like they haven't played a good game and they have a winning record right now. You know, they are still one of the top teams in the division right now, and you're 6 games in. Like I'm not going to sit here and like defend them the whole time, but it's just something to keep in mind. It's like they haven't played good. Their goaltender has given up a lot, not necessarily his fault, and they are still 3-2-1. It's not like they're 0-5-1 or something, you know? That's why I don't want to make this like big thing where it's like, listen, they have to play better. We know that. And I think, as I said, I think it's similar to last year. So just got to come into these next 4. I think they'll win 3 of the next 4. I think 2 wins against New Jersey, I think they can do. And I think at least 1 of the 2 against the Islanders. If anything, with our luck, and with my luck with predictions, it's funny. I meant to tell you this. I predicted GVR to get 2 goals on Thursday, but I said that they would win 3-1. They lost 5-4. I was close, because at one point when it was 2-1, I was like, all right. And then it was 2-2. I was like, damn it. Almost had it.
I hope you're right, because right now, and like granted, yes, a lot of the anger and involvement with the Flyers is overreaction, but it's justified overreaction just because on how just sloppy the team has been. And I like going into the Devils, like I said, the Devils have been, honestly, they haven't been playing that bad, but I still feel like maybe it's one of those situations where, they get all this energy to start the season because everyone's overlooking us and they don't expect us to do anything. Okay, we get that little bit of a jump to start the season. But then I think as the season goes along, then that's when they're going to get exposed. That's when the youth starts to falter a little bit because of their inexperience. That's what I see with the Devils right now. And it's going to be tough, definitely. But the one thing that hopefully shouldn't be a problem is you don't have Mackenzie Blackwood for the Devils. He's on COVID reserve, even though their backup got a shutout yesterday, which is
who is their backup?
I think it's Wedgwood or something like that.
Wedgwood, Blackwood, and Wedgwood.
Yeah, they have a lot of woods in their goaltending system. So it's just that, and definitely with the way Carter Hart hasn't been himself the past few games, and also granted that's not his fault. Devils fans are definitely having a party with that because the whole
who cares?
Yeah, the whole argument with Devils fans thinking that Mackenzie Blackwood's better. Not going Mackenzie Blackwood, but he's not.
He's not even in net. It's Moose tomorrow.
Yeah, Hart's not in net. It's Moose.
Yeah, the AV said that today, and there is a chance that Ghost will be in tomorrow. He hasn't been rolled out of the game. That's part of the Flyers and AV. So we'll see what happens. He also, AV did say he talked with Gustafson, had a chat with him. So I would assume that Gus is coming out if he had to talk to him. I mean, why would he really even bring that up? If he wasn't coming out, I kind of think that's the thing. And again, they're not taking out Braun, Hag, or Friedman. There's no way. I think Gus has easily been the worst defenseman, and I think they kind of realize that. And he's had a lot of plays that are just iffy, and it's just yeah, you know what I mean? Like that fourth goal, for example. There's just no effort on that play. I'm sorry. I don't want to sit here and criticize the guy for his effort, but that there was no effort shown on that whatsoever.
There was both Braun and Gustafson getting beaten one-on-one, and it leads to an easy goal from Marchand.
It really was more Gus, but I know what you mean. Really nobody showed effort, but really a swing of the stick on the puck battle. Come on. It's just when he scored that, I just started laughing. I was like, this is sad.
It is.
It's sad because I don't even know.
And for people that joined the watch parties the past few days with the Flyers, you can definitely see me try to hold my composure. It was difficult, definitely was, but I was able to hold it. I was just this team sucks right now. That's basically all it is.
I don't know how you even hold that. I was cursing up and down on Saturday night. I was pissed.
A lot of people in the live stream were saying you were throwing plates at the television.
Maybe I was. Maybe they were paper plates. Who knows? But I was pissed, man. I was not happy. I mean, that was just a game. Oh God, it's just it's move on. It's what else can you do?
You can see from the reaction on my face. It was just every time Boston scored, it was just that angry smile. I was just okay, that's how it's going.
I just started laughing. I was just this is sad. I already knew they were losing.
Mm-hmm.
I was there's just
yeah.
I don't know.
But we got a lot of connection with the live streams. It's been very well as of late. We got a lot of subscribers here on the Painted Lines. It's been good. It's been really good. Sadly, the Flyers haven't been up a good effort yet.
Yeah, the Sixers though, man.
Joel Embiid, MVP candidate. You said it right here. Joel Embiid's going to win MVP. It's going to happen.
We're doing the Sixered Up podcast right now.
Yeah, the Sixered Up podcast. It's much better than the Flyered Up podcast. The Flyers have given us nothing to be happy about.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
And we got some comments right here from the live chat. Tales of a Failed Life saying, if I was Hart, I had broken more stuff. Yeah, I understand that. I really do understand that. We got Ethan saying, I'm ready for this show. It should be fun with the laughing emoji. And then we got David saying that Carter Hart broke a lot of wood after that last game. Yes, he definitely did.
Yeah.
And then we got Kevin saying, hi guys, I just got home from school. Welcome to the live stream, Kevin. Always glad to have you aboard. And just so going into the Devils series, like I said, there's no Mackenzie Blackwood. It's either going to be the goaltender that got the shutout yesterday, or who knows, they go with another backup.
I would assume it's Wedgwood if if he just got a shutout, why wouldn't he play again?
Yeah, I can understand. And that's like also notorious for the Flyers. When you're going up against the backup, you're going to make him look like the best goalie in the world. That's just been their MO for so long.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think that just keep it simple against New Jersey. I mean, I think everything I have said, I could say about 15 times. Like, keep it simple and score more goals than the other team. Is that simple enough? I really don't know like what else to say. I mean, I think if they just get in on the forecheck and actually have forwards help out, they'll do better and just stop passing up opportunities to shoot the puck. Just shoot. Because you have enough guys that can crash the net, generate rebounds, do whatever. I want to ask you this. Does it seem like they kind of go to point too much? Or
yes.
Pass the puck to the point way too much?
They're relying way too much on the defenseman.
And that's the thing. I mean, we could sit here all day and say, oh, you should have shot that. You should have shot that. Like Voracek, for example, he gets so much criticism for not shooting the puck, right? When he's on the power play. A shot from outside the circle when the goalie sees it with nobody in front is not going in. He's just sending a meatball to the goalie's chest. Like, that's not going in. Like, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, all these people, man, they just want to say, like, it's different when we're watching it on TV and we have such a high angle. It's different when Jake himself is flying through the neutral zone or around the corner with a guy on him, one hand on his stick, still controlling the puck, mind you, and still makes a play out of it. So it might be a little bit biased because Jake's my favorite player, but I really don't care. It's like we kind of just have to take a breather, I feel like. I think everybody's so up in arms because they haven't dominated yet. You're 6 games into a season. 6 games. Again, I'll remind you again, similar to last year, where it took a while to get into the season. I know AV talked about it, where it essentially took them 2 months because they were horrible in the preseason. They were like 1-6, 1-7, something like that. They lost to Lausanne. They were down 4-0 to Lausanne. That's how bad they were at the start of the season. That's how bad they were playing, I should say. It's like I'm not worried. I'm not. We know how good this team is. We know how they can come back, and bounce backs from a loss happen. So I think that might be the first time since like January of last year they lost back-to-back games, I think, right?
It had to be playoffs. Yeah, because they lost the back-to-back games against the Islanders in the playoffs, but like in regular season terms, yes. Yeah. That's probably been the first time they lost back-to-back games since going into last January.
I think it was games 3 and 4 against New York.
Yep.
But I mean, that was really it. I mean, I'm not worried. I don't think there's any reason to be worried. You still got a lot of season left. A lot of games to be played, a lot of decisions, a lot of guys that come into the lineup, out of the lineup, guys we can see, and things like that. So I'm not worried. I don't know if you are, but I think right now, I don't think there's any reason to panic and say, oh, let's trade everybody and this and that. And you know what I mean?
I'm not saying I'm panicking. I'm trying to have that optimism, but I'm like trying to also just go into it with just a level head and see what happens. Just because right now, the way the defense has been playing, I know they're losing. I know they lost Myers, but like when you have Provorov, Sanheim, Myers, yes, those are 3 good defensemen right there for your core. But when you have guys like Eric Gustafsson, who's going to turn the puck over so many times, and it just basically has been a liability. Justin Braun is Justin Braun. Robert Haig is Robert Haig. Gostisbehere right now, he's basically unknown at this point. You don't know if he's going to be the good ghost. You don't know if he's going to be the bad ghost. You just got to wait and see what happens when he enters the lineup, which is most likely going to be tomorrow. And what it sounds like he's going to be on the top pairing with Provorov tomorrow from the reports.
I mean, he took first unit reps with Provorov today, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So I would assume he's playing tomorrow, which my guess is it'll be Provy Ghost, Sanheim, Braun, Hag, Freeman.
And it's just like going back to, because right now, there is we all know this, there is a glaring miss of Matt Niskanen on the balance that he brought to the defensive core. There is a definite miss right there. And I know Chuck Fletcher, yes, the Eric Gustafsson, he wasn't the replacement for Matt Niskanen. He was an extra guy for the blue line. But yes, it's still definite. There's a miss right there. And right now, I was going more into the season. Okay, maybe these young guys, they need to step up. Okay, we couldn't bring back Matt Niskanen. Sadly, he retired. I was thinking, okay, it's time for a guy like a Sanheim or a Myers to take that role. to step up, improve his game a little bit, so we don't have to worry about a Matt Niskanen. Who knows? Maybe over the course of the season they get 20 times better. They get more better. Who knows?
Yeah.
But right now I'm not panicking, but I'm just a little worried about the defense right now, into where I'm going into these next 2 games with the Devils just with a even playing field, just seeing what happens. And honestly, it can only happen in 2 different scenarios. The Flyers, they look a lot better and they win the next 2 games, or they look a lot better and they split the next 2 games. Or the other scenario is they look the exact same as they have been for the first 6 games of the season. And that's where, what happens if that scenario happens? What do you do then? Because now you're looking at 8 games into the season, and the same mistakes have been continuing to happen again and again and again. And they're just, right now, it didn't look like there was going to be any fix. Like, what would you think, Chris? Like, if that scenario
Is
were
that
to
your
happen,
true feeling, though? Like, do you really think
that's the thing? I don't know.
Because my thing is this: if we know this team can come back, then what's the point of even putting that scenario in the situation? Because we know that they can come back from losses like this. We've seen it before. And as I said, it takes some time to get into games. And we've seen it. It's just, I know I said it about 6 times already, but it's true. It took them a while to get into last year. And look how they were in the second month of the regular season in November. Best team in the league. It's very easy to pick on the Niskanen situation when you lose Myers. Like, oh, okay, we lost Niskanen. That's why they're playing so bad. Well, yes and no, because you don't have Myers. Did anybody expect Myers to be out week to week in the 4th game of the season? No, no one did. And if you say yes, you're nuts, because I know that's not true.
Or you somehow can predict the future, which I want to know how you get your powers from.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like for the most part, it's very, as I said, it's very easy to pick on the Niskanen situation. It's easy to pick on the Myers thing. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Flyers could have made and I know you sent me this tweet the other day. It was somebody tweeting that, the Flyers could have had a replacement for Niskanen, whatever. And it was like Pietrangelo, Krug, Tanev.
Realistically, they weren't getting any of those people.
No, and Brody. I'm like, okay. Can we break it down and kind of go back to when everybody was like, oh, can they get this guy? Can they get this guy? Krug and Pietrangelo were the 2 guys Fletcher said, or I think, no, Pietrangelo was the only guy Fletcher said that they were out on. Krug, we already knew he was going to St. Louis. That was the thing from the beginning. I don't think his mind was going anywhere. And Krug was not a fit here. You essentially have another Gostisbehere that's better defensively. That's Krug. And that's not a knock at Krug, but it's a similar play style. A small left-handed defenseman that can move the puck and score on the power play. That's very similar. Tanev, when the hell did Tanev even come up to play first pair? I don't remember that at all. Brody would have been very nice because he could play a right side, but again, the no movement clause, that's what got him in Toronto. And as I said, Pietrangelo was out, and Schmidt, same thing. His cap was more than Niskanen, 5.9. You would have had to given up a similar contract.
And he had longer term.
To a team like Vegas at the time, who was trying to get rid of cap. They had rumored to get rid of Marchessault, Fleury, Pacioretty, Martinez, yes. So that wasn't happening either. So let's not just make it like 4 games into the season where, oh, they could have done this. No, they couldn't have done that. You have to look at it at a cap standpoint. They are in a flat cap world for the next 2 seasons after this year. 3 seasons in total. They were not getting any of those defensemen. I don't care what scenario you throw in. You have to understand how much cap they had at the time, who they could have got rid of. Oh, it's, they should have traded JVR. They should have traded Gostisbehere. You have to get rid of the exact same contract. JVR making $7 million is not going through for a defenseman like that. That's not.
If you trade JVR, you have to get a bad contract in return.
Exactly, or similar. So I'm not going to sit here and blame Chuck Fletcher for a problem that you don't necessarily even understand what is happening in 6 games into the season. Like, that is just the stupidest thing I could think of. And that's what ticks me off, because like I deleted Twitter for about 4 or 5 days. I don't even have notifications on it anymore. It's not even in my main spot. It would be on my phone, so I don't purposely check it. I moved it over. You know, like obviously the iPhone's got like a bunch of different screens. I put it on like the last one, just so I don't even have the temptation to look at it. I have gone on there. I promoted my video, did some stuff with Flyers Nitty Gritty, and that was it. And your video too, retweeted that. But that's it. That's all I've done because I can't take it anymore. I can't. Like I go on there and I see all these people just complaining and everything. It's just and your opinion can easily get swayed from going on it while the game's on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine how Eagles Twitter is, especially after that debacle of the season they just had.
Oh, Sixers. We're talking about Flyers Twitter right now. Flyers Twitter does not compare to Sixers or Eagles. It doesn't.
It's got to be. I'm thinking to myself, it has to be worse.
No, Sixers and Eagles Twitter is probably the worst in the city. Flyers is nowhere.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Flyers is nowhere close
like,
to
it has to be worse than Flyers. And I thought this was bad. So my point is this. It is 6 games into the year. Calm down, please. They have a over 500 record, and they have won 3 of the 6 games. They probably should be 4-2. No, yeah,
4-1 or 1-1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they should be 4-1-1. Whatever. All they can do is go into these next few games and win. Because I just can't wait for them to, knowing the Flyers, they'll pick it up, they'll get a couple wins, and everybody will be right on their train again.
And they'll be sucked back into the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. Like my video views have dipped. Why do you think? Because they lost a couple games. Why? The Sixers keep winning. Well, they keep losing. It draws people away.
It's funny because my last Flyers video actually did pretty well. I'm really surprised about that.
Well, all of my videos have gotten over 100. The first, how many games they've played? 6. The first 4 got over 150 or more. The last 2 have gotten 97 and 93. So they dipped around 55, 60 views. Now, I'm not going to sit here and complain. It's still a good number. But still, you know what I mean? It's dipping because they're not playing that great. And it's also dipping, I think, because the Sixers are on. There's other stuff happening.
Football.
Yeah, playoff football.
And just
you had stuff with the, with all the political stuff with the inauguration and everything. So that kind of
overall, there's just them not playing well.
Yeah, right, exactly. And they're not like playing well either. So that doesn't help. There's been a lot of stuff that's kind of, I guess, taken.
Yeah, we got a comment right here from Tales of a Failed Life saying, I know it's only 6 games in, and I wouldn't be as bummed out if it didn't look like a carryover from the bubble. Like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities from when they played in the bubble, but still you're looking at...
I think yes and no. I mean, they couldn't score in the bubble.
Yeah.
They've scored a lot. They've given up a lot, but they've scored a lot. So that's different. The power plays look better. I'd say some of it is a carryover, but it's a different team too. You didn't have Patrick, you didn't have a healthy Lindblom, you didn't have Gustafsson. It's 3 different players. Obviously, it doesn't make the full team, but you get my point. Is that yes and no? I think some of it's carryover play wise, but I'm curious to see the forechecking thing. That's a really good point. And it makes me think if there'll be a complete switch with that. I wonder how they'd run that tomorrow. If they do the 2-1-2 or they do a 1-2-2.
Because it's weird because they were when I sent you that tweet yesterday, they were talking about it looks like the Flyers they changed from a 1-2-2, which where they were playing majority of last season during, and that's where the majority of their success was in. And then when he went to the playoffs, they switched to more of that 2-1-2 type of style. So maybe is that switch to the 2-1-2 maybe throwing them off a little bit? Maybe that little change in the system?
I think it's just more player reads.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the defense, too. There's been a lot of changes in the division. You're playing different teams. Well, same teams.
But same teams over and over again at this point.
Right, yeah. So you have to adapt with that stuff. So, again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So it's all, again, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, why is the coaching staff doing this? Like, it's hockey. It's not like they're robots, It's not like you're playing the bubble hockey with the sticks and they're all just staying in the same spot. You know what I mean? That's just not going to happen. Where you have to spin the nozzle to flip the guy around. Yeah, that's just not going to work.
It's not playing.
The best thing to play to Flyers.
It's not like playing EA Sports NHL where you can just use the same cheesy moves over and over again. Where a lot of people spam that stuff.
Right, where you skate one way, shoot the other. It's like that's not going to happen.
And just like thinking about it right now is because there's a little bit of stuff to talk about around the NHL right now, the big trade news and all that. Capitals, they released something. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes right here. But there's like going back to a little bit about the Twitter situation, like talking about people. They're just like I just read it. I don't conversate. I don't do anything about it.
I wish some of it I've never seen. I wish it would just be get out of my head.
Because sometimes I see that like people they're already saying the Hextall regime was a failure. Just like they're going that far. They're saying we shouldn't be waiting for prospects anymore and all that crap.
Yeah, trade Cam York, right?
They're saying like we shouldn't be waiting for Cam York.
Oh my god!
Because some people still believe he's like 3 to 5 years away, even though that's not realistic.
Dude, he literally can make the NHL next year.
He can make the NHL at the end of the season.
That's my point. He literally could make this team next year. It's just, is there a spot for him?
No, I'm thinking when his college season ends, he can honestly be on the Phantoms with the Flyers.
This is easily his last college year. He's not.
Yes.
There's no way he's playing another year of college.
No way.
No.
And then also like
he was
can't
the
wait for
captain
Bobby.
of the World Junior team that won the gold medal. You know how much that boosts his confidence and everything that everybody sees him as.
And then people saying, "Oh, we should be waiting for Bobby Brink." Oh, don't worry, Provorov's coming up in the depths. Don't worry, Konechny's coming up in the depths, and all that. Just seeing your reaction right there. That was funny.
It's just a shame. It is, because a lot of this stuff is so funny to me that I sit here and look at it. I'm like, what am I looking at right now?
Yeah, it's like some people like, oh, the Flyers haven't made like that blockbuster trade in like so many years. Okay, the Flyers don't make a blockbuster trade every season.
Whatever good thing happens here, it needs, like, everybody just wants it to go away. Like I don't know if you get what I mean, but like when they had some of these guys, right, and like if the Flyers got Laine, for example, they would like them for a few games and then they just want them gone. Like whatever good thing we have, we just have to get rid of because we need something better. Like that's what people think, that we need something better. It's not good enough. When if you're just patient, things will come together.
That's the thing. A lot of people are really impatient. I can understand the impatience because the team hasn't won a cup since '75, but it's
yes and no. I mean, were they really a contender in this last decade?
No.
Did you expect it to be,
No. And I like this comment right here from Mr. Philadelphia. Fourth Right podcast, they ranted on every single thing possible. And then he follows it up with great podcast. Thank you for that, Mr. Philadelphia. And then we got Tales of a Failed Life saying Twitter is a cesspool. I only look at it if I want to feel bad about humanity. That honestly fits with the name of your YouTube handle. Tales of a Failed Life. So, yeah, getting off of that rant for a little bit. So, we got Flyers tomorrow and Thursday. They play the New Jersey Devils. Hopefully, things can change. Hopefully, the team can look better. That's basically the only thing we could do at this point. Just wait and see what happens. So, that's something we have to wait for right there. But let's get into a little bit of the talks around the NHL. So, the big news is the Pierre-Luc Dubois for Patrick Laine and also Roslovic. So,
and
a third. Can't forget the third. That's the
third.
Yeah, Hagen the third, the trademark of the Philadelphia Flyers at this point. So, just I think overall thoughts right now, in my opinion, I don't think either of those players are going to want to stay in their city. That's just me.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, every star that they have had has never stayed there. Rick Nash never stayed there.
Panarin
didn't stay there. Bob didn't stay there. Honestly, if Seth Jones goes in the free agency, he's not staying in Columbus.
You never know. I mean, it's so hard to tell when the free agency is July 28th. Like, I honestly could see Tortorella like being one of those guys that helps out Laine, but also I look at it as like, oh dear, because it just doesn't look like a situation that could help them.
Yeah, it's because it could be one or two situations. It could be a match made in heaven, or it could be, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah. Or it honestly could be in between. I have a feeling it's going to be a mix of both. Like there's a lot of guys on that team that kind of needed that. Like Domi, I kind of think is a guy that maybe needed that. I think the thing is with Tortorella is that everybody just looks at him with the media and thinks that he does the same thing with the players. There's no way he does that with the players. I just can't see that happening. Like he seems like one of the most motivated guys, or I should rephrase that. He seems like a guy that can motivate you in so many ways. Like we saw in the bubble with Columbus. He's screaming at Dubois on the bench, right? And he goes out. I think he had either 2 goals or a hat trick.
Yeah.
And one of them was the game winner. Like he just, bam, completely turned his game around that game. And like he seems like a guy that can help. He definitely helps out his players. He's one of the reasons why, I think he's one of the biggest reasons why they swept Tampa Bay that year, because he motivated them so much that it was just like, oh my God, like overpowering. Like you wanted to get all, you just wanted to run through like 7 brick walls in a row. You know, I look at it like this. I think right now, I think Winnipeg's the winner of the trade because you kind of got rid of the 2 problems you had, which were Laine and Roslovic, 2 guys that didn't want to sign. Roslovic didn't even have a contract. He goes to Columbus, already signs a 2-year deal.
I think the one thing with Roslovic, he's also a native of Ohio, so that maybe that pulls into maybe wanting to stay in Columbus. But like the situation with Laine right now is that his contract expires after this year, and he's still an RFA.
And that's the thing. He would be. Is he a UFA or
He's
an
RFA?
RFA?
He'll be an RFA.
Or because he's still on his ELC. No, right?
No, he's still young enough to where he qualifies as an RFA.
Okay, because he's not on his ELC, right?
No, he's not on his entry level contract.
I was going to say.
No, coming off of his entry level contract, that's where you got the little bit of the communication where he might want out of Winnipeg. That's why they signed him to a little bit of a 1-year bridge deal. Yeah. So after that, it's because with Columbus at the same time, they don't like to pay their people as well. And I'm assuming Laine is definitely going to want somewhere around the $8 to $9 to $10 million range. That's just what I'm going to expect.
That's the thing, though. It's like
Columbus is not going to cough that up.
If they've messed up with a lot of guys, wouldn't you think they'd kind of give it to him?
I don't think so. It's that there's just too much of a pattern. There's too much of a pattern to go off of.
And that's the thing. It's like it really makes me think. Like right now, I think that the Jets are gonna really benefit from it. Because they said they kind of got the 2 problems they had with Roslovic. And I mean, Roslovic really wasn't a problem, but you get my point. Like, kind of got that out of the way. And I think Dubois is going to be a good fit there with all the players they have down the middle. And even on the wings. I mean, I was watching Winnipeg last night. They looked disgusting.
Sadly, they lost in the final, like, 0.2 to Draisaitl's goal.
Yeah, and sorry, not last night. The night before, they played Calgary. Ended up winning. But yeah, they did lose last night. But they were like, they're 4-2. They're playing pretty good hockey right now.
And don't those guys have, like, Dubois, Roslovic, and Laine have to be in quarantine for, like, a certain period of time before they even play?
That's the thing. I don't know.
I think they do.
I know there's ways where you can get around it. Like, if you were to get, like, a private jet, I think that's a way you can maybe get around it. But I have no idea. Like, don't quote me on it because I don't know.
Like, I've heard the quarantine thing has to be, like, 7, 10, or even 14 days before they can even suit up with them.
Right.
So
and that's the thing, because I know, like on fantasy, I saw he's on IR, or I don't know if he's IR or if he's day to day. I don't know what it was. Now it makes me think: do they put guys on IR if they're quarantined?
It's a possibility, or they put them on the COVID reserve list, or maybe they take them. Maybe they do the same thing with Ghost and they take them off the roster. Yeah,
because maybe fantasy just says it IR even if it's COVID protocol. Because I think that's probably what Ghost was on, which I know it's weird, but I don't know. You know. I like the trade. You know, I think for the most part, it's like, I think it was kind of the easiest thing you kind of expected. It's like you saw Dubois go on the market. Well, he's going to go for Laine. It's an even trade because they're both very good young players in the league, and they're going to be superstars. You know that.
And they were both taking the same draft. Laine with 2, Dubois at 3.
Yeah. So they're very even there. And, you know, I know there's a lot of people that said, well, the Flyers could have, I'm so happy he got traded. So that is just done. And you know it's still going to happen where, like, oh, the Flyers could have got Laine. They could have got Laine. They could have got Laine. Like,
here's shakes up the point a little bit from Anderson. They do put them on the IR on COVID because that's what Ovi and Kuznetsov are on right now. Okay.
Yeah. And that is a good point, which I forgot because I have Kuznetsov on my fantasy team and he's on IR. And I also have Tom Wilson, who's out now. He's injured. I have to drop 2 forwards now, which sucks because Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Orlov, and Samsonov are supposed to miss like 4 games. And Washington still won against Buffalo. Yeah. And then they're missing 4 of their top players and they're starting goaltender. They still won. I think they did lose the other night. I think both games went to a shootout.
I think so.
But still, you know, I think for the most part, I like the trade. I think it made sense for both teams. I think Winnipeg is probably going to benefit because, again, either Laine is going to sign somewhere else or he's going to get traded the draft.
Yeah,
So
that's what I expect.
That's kind of So I don't know. I hope it's a good fit for him because again, I hate seeing guys get thrown around like that when they're that good because it's But I think some of the stuff that Dubois did in Columbus, like that last effort he had when he got sat, that was ridiculous. There was no reason for that. Okay, if you already knew you were going to get traded and you didn't want to play, but that doesn't mean you just purposely let your team
try
at least try. Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I guess,
I understand why people can be mad at that too.
Yeah, and I guess to go off on a final point before we end the episode right here. So speaking of the Caps, what are your thoughts on their new alternates?
Oh, those are nice. I like them.
I think they're sharp as well, but I think they missed the opportunity to use their secondary logo, that Weagle.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the story behind them, but they're supposed to have. They're going to be worn 7 times, and each person they're supposed to have like a healthcare like worker that's like dealing with COVID at the game, and they get like a signed jersey and everything. So it seems like a really cool idea that they kind of did, and it's also to add another jersey in there. But it's weird because are they really not going to wear the reverse retro that much?
I think a lot of teams that like are barely wearing the reverse
retro. They promoted
retros.
The hell out of those things, and we haven't seen them once yet.
I feel like you're not even going to see the first reverse retros worn until like February at some point. Because I remember seeing Calgary's
game is going to be the big night for them.
Yeah, the outdoor game is going to have the reverse retros, but I also saw
the 2 games.
Yeah, then I also saw the on Calgary because they actually released their jersey schedule. They're not even wearing the reverse retros until February.
Yeah, it's like February 6th, I think. It's early in the year. I think every game they wear them, it's either against like Vancouver or Edmonton.
Okay, here's a last thought from the comment section before we end it off. So, thoughts on the Tkachuk knee to the head on Campbell last night? Steve Dangle riffed Matthew Tkachuk last night. Personally, I did not see the play.
I didn't see it either.
I don't have an opinion on it. I'll probably go look at it at the end after this podcast is over.
Look at that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely check that out and maybe give our opinions on the next episode or maybe even during one of the watch parties the next few days, because we're definitely going to have a watch party for the Flyers tomorrow when they take on the New Jersey Devils. So this is going to do it for this episode of the Flyered Up podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment here on the Painted Lines. Also, don't forget to subscribe to mine and Chris's channel, TTP Sports and Flyers Fan Mania 93. Don't forget to check out everything, the Painted Lines, just everywhere. And for people that weren't able to tune into the live stream right now, is that it'll also be on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast on. And also with the Painted Lines, don't forget to just check out everything. They're doing a lot of stuff. I know the Daily Dose is on right now here at the Painted Lines. They'll be doing their Sixers watch party later tonight. So definitely check that out. And we'll definitely have an episode of the Flyered Up podcast. Probably, I would say, maybe before the Islander series, maybe after it. Depends on what the timing is. So we'll keep you noted right there. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Flyered Up podcast. Tune in for the watch party tomorrow. And for me, your host, Amedeo Grassia, he is Chris Maher. Thank you for joining, everyone, and we will see you next time.